Alright, welcome to the summer banner of 2018 featuring some beautiful new ladies and a male that we're about to see. If you saw my art analysis from the previous video, you'll know that we had some good laughs, so I definitely recommend checking that out. But this time we're going to be looking at the new skills and the new units themselves and maybe judging where their role might lie, either as a unit or what the skills could mean inherited onto other units. So let's go.
Adding seashells to a lance can give it just the right amount of exotic.
Alright, unfortunately this, just from an initial first impression, is going to be very awkward for her to stand out as a unit right away, I can tell you. With lance calves being a thing, it's very hard for lance calves to have a role when it comes to the current meta of units. You have so much choices that can be made that don't involve spending hundreds of orbs, unfortunately. With Oscar recently being demoted to a 3-star, you have a 33-34 offensive cav in the 3-star to 4-star pool. You have Camu as a distant counter lance cav user, and you even have some really good tanky ones as well that I'm going to name, like Burkut and Jagan. You have so many different variety and options that are available in the 3 to 4-star pool with lance cabs that for Cordelia truly to stand out would require her to have 38-38 offensive stats. So we don't know until tomorrow, but I'm going to say that unless she has that stat spread or is something drastically different, being like extremely slow and really tanky or something like that, there's no way that she's going to be offering much in that role, especially when you can merge up so many other units using feathers rather than orbs. So to me, this looks like the prime definition of taking a fan favorite character, putting them in a swimsuit, and making people spend orbs. In terms of usability, I don't see much hope for her. We'll see until tomorrow, though. Okay, so we have, for those of you that don't know, all the summer weapons that we're about to see here are going to be the opposite of the winter weapons, and I guess that's a nice contrast. But what we have is on player phase, you get 2 to all stats instead of enemy phase. So you initiate and you get value out of your stats. Now, in my opinion, the winter weapons are actually a little bit better than the summer weapons because there's situations where you will not utilize all the stats on player phase, but you will likely use most of the stats on enemy phase. For instance, attack, speed, and then either defense or res are pretty much always used on an enemy phase weapon like Sack of Gifts, whereas Shell and Lance truly get value out of attack and speed for sure, well, most likely, and then you don't really utilize defense and res unless you're using a special proc that takes advantage of that, like Bonfire Iceberg, or the enemy counterattacks, in which case it does get a little bit more value. But generally, I feel the winter weapons are a little bit better. Now, she has Harsh Command. Who cares about that? With with units like Saizo and Gunter pretty much being super available, there's no reason why you would care about that as a skill. Sturdy Blow is interesting, but again, it comes off Athena in the 3-star pool, so not exactly some radical skill. The new skill to be seen here is Dull Close, and in my opinion this is not going to be that great because usually what you see is range units or blade mages that truly get buffed up on enemy team comps, so Dull Range has already more value than Dull Close. Dull Close will probably only be used in the situations where you run into units that run double rallies, and those double rallies will give you a minor advantage. But that's comparing taking the B skill and replacing it with stuff like Quick Riposte or Guard or Renewal or Wings of Mercy. You know, like there's so many better B skills than Dull Close, so I don't feel this really stands out. And as a result, Cordelia really doesn't offer anything in terms of pulling or the fact that she's in such a saturated unit pool. So I'm sorry, fanboys, but I'm going to have to tell you that Cordelia, right from first impressions, is here because she's a fan favorite and wants to take your orbs. She doubled, so I'm going to assume she's fast.
I do love the beach.
Okay, for those that know me, you're gonna know that I frequently have actually said that I was looking forward to Noir being released along with other units like Valoria, Selkie, and Na, also Nina. So there's a couple of those units that I was looking forward to being released. However, she's not in the permanent pool, and that's a big drawback for me in terms of wanting to pull her. She's also a little bit different, I would say, in this iteration of both art and presentation. I would have preferred her with clothes on, but that's just me, right? Either way, Noir is still one of my more favorite characters from Awakening, and she has a very drastic, different type of personalities than a lot of characters that have. So the problem here is, again, similar to Cordelia, where the archer pool is fairly diverse, and you can pretty much expect that we're going to be able to build any of those 3-star, 4-star archers similarly to Cordelia, and she's not going to have that sort of niche that she might have. I mean, the only real thing that Nora might have is higher stats than Bridal Cordelia at this point, right? 36, 36, 35, 37, 37, 35. Like, what else can you possibly do? I mean, you have the res tanky archers, you have Innes and Niles, you have the defense tanky archers, Gordon and Leon, you have fast archers with decent offensive stats such as Setsuna. So again, merges and more availability using feathers versus orbs, and we're going to see that Noir can't really stand out, and that disappoints me because I really like this character. So Kokobo, again, a similar idea to the other ones. Winter weapons are generally better. This speaks even more truly if you don't fight distant counter users. Like, you're not going to be using the defense and res that well on player phase. Art and Sacrifice, I guess that could be pretty good if she's fast, just to have that on the kit without sacrificing any units and then combining it with Desperation. Attack Speed 2 is whatever, but it's probably one of the better A skills rather than like Attack Defense or HP and res. Canis. But yeah, that's not too bad of an A skill when it comes to specifically using stats. Now, the new kit in the block, Infantry Rush. I'm going to talk about this a good minute or two because a lot of people are, I would say, hyping this up, and I feel like it is not warranted because you need to actually think about how this skill is used in practical applications rather than theoretical or paper, right? Infantry Rush is what is drive skill. It works the same way as a drive skill with that positional requirement. Your unit needs to be within 2 spaces of something. So that by itself may not sound that difficult to set up. But if you've used drive skills, you'll know, and spur skills, accordingly, you'll know that those skills are easier to use on enemy phase than player phase, because you don't have to use one of your units, move them upwards, and then have the unit that wants to take advantage of that drive, or in this case, Infantry Rush, follow up and then, get their special off or the extra stats. So I feel like the drive effect here, the positional requirement, will work really well on units that don't necessarily want to engage in combat and just choose to support a lot of units. Units like Brave Lucina, Marth, and M. Corin are going to really like this skill, but in general, I don't think it'll be that good on all other units unless you use it on the enemy phase. But then that speaks to the question, how do you use Heavy Blade? You use Heavy Blade usually on units that take advantage of Desperation with like Moonbow, or Heavy Blade with Gale Force, and something like Desperation as well. So again, the Heavy Blade is more of a player phase skill. Infantry Rush, unfortunately, the positional requirements are more an enemy phase skill-oriented thing. Now, I'm open to a little bit of discussion on this, so if you feel like you don't agree, or you can maybe even show me that you're using this skill properly, if you happen to get it and pull for it, please be my guest, come into my Discord and message me with footage showing that you use this skill in such a way that goes against what I just said, and I will be enlightened. Or, maybe if you can put a good constructive argument in the comments below, I'm totally open for that. Please let me know what you think if you can put it to practical usage, because I don't see this one being as good as something like drive skills, spur skills, and even infantry pulse, which can pre-charge a lot of specials and then just blow things up. That's how I see it. Please let me know if you think differently, and I'll be open to seeing that if it's true.
Even if I'm swimming, my form must be without...
Another shirtless man. Unfortunately, he doesn't compare to Summer Xander. As our research has shown from the previous video, 3 points less. Innes, I'm sorry, my friend, Summer Xander is better than you. But, okay, you're still pretty hot. Now, Axe Flyers. This is not totally too saturated when it comes to options. I can think of a few off the top of my head, which would be like Baruka, Camilla, Akariss, Minerva, and Xerxes. Okay, so there are definitely some areas in which there could be Innis to stand out. And if he's like his infantry form, where he has high res, but if he also has high attack, this will make him stand out compared to Camilla. However, he'd still need to be like really lopsided in stat spread. He'd need to have like 35 attack, 35 speed, and like 30 res or something, and then he'll stand out, which would gimp his HP or his defense as a result. However, since I see him, we're going to see him on a Wyvern, I don't think he'll have high res. Wyvern usually are high defense units rather than high res. So that's my prediction on this. And unfortunately, if he's like that, then he's going to be more comparable to something like Baruka or Xerxes. And again, just because of how you merge up those units, they're going to outperform him with the stats that you can get through merges. And most people even have Xerxes at this point. If you don't have a Xerxes, you probably should build one, because at 4-star plus 10, she is absolutely a beast. You know, this banner is really showing its colors. And when I say colors, I mean it is primarily a waifu and husbando banner, and nothing so far is like, oh my god, I must have this. We'll talk about it at the end, but so far,
Flaw.
yeah, flaw. That's right, Innis, flawed. All right, beach banner, talked about this already. Rally attack defense, pretty interesting. Comes off of Elwood, LA Elwood, and it came off Jerome. And there's probably one other unit I'm missing, but it's one of the better rallies, I'd say, especially the higher up you go in arena. We have defense feint, which I think is actually really good, especially on certain maps where you can funnel in enemy units. Think of like the bridge maps on arena. Or if you're pretty good at predicting AI, you can pretty much line up enemy units in a way that you can get some pretty good value out of defense feint, and then use it with a lot of your tanky units to just destroy things, especially if you combine it with maybe some healing skills, and you can really capitalize off an enemy's lower defense. Something like Aether Soul or Noontime does get more healing because you do more damage. He comes with gold flyers. That doesn't matter because it's on Pala. I think defense feint is cool. Do I think it's worth pulling for it? No. We might start seeing these skills as seals soon. We might start seeing them on the permanent banner soon, and we might start seeing them demoted. So if you have some patience, that's what I actually recommend. Stuff like Attack Tactic first showed up on Sigbert, then it was on Elelina, and now on Legault, who's most likely to be demoted. Will probably make that skill much more available. So patience really pays off, and there's no real rush to be getting these skills, even though they're pretty good. But it's more of a support skill. Units like Marth or Erica, Corrin, Brave Lucina could really use advantage of these skills, but most of your combat units are supposed to use things like Quick Riposte, Guard, Wings of Mercy, Renewal, whatever. There's more options in B that doesn't involve, this.
Want to go swimming? Let's go.
Okay, we have our second Red Tome Flyer, first one being Halloween Noe. If you've looked at Halloween Noe's stats, you'll know that she has high attack, but not high speed. She's at 34-30, I believe, her stat spread. So this means that Tana has the ability to open up that stat spread range, giving her possibly high speed and decent attack, which will make her, in my opinion, a slightly better Blade Tome user, because Blade Tome users get so much scaling off of their attack that speed is the stat they need to push to ensure their kills rather than attack. Overkill is very much a realistic thing, and having too much attack is not as important as having too much speed, where you can truly capitalize on Blade Tomes. This will make Tana probably the best Red Tome Flyer Blade Mage, because there is no real other competition other than Halloween Noe. Which means that out of the units shown so far, I think Tana is actually the best one here. Without looking at their stats, that the fact that there's less competition makes her stand out. So let's look at her skills. As you can tell, not only do I see that, but apparently Intelligent Systems sees that as well. Tana is apparently loaded with skills, and that makes her good to pull for if you were to choose one of these, at least for competitive reasons or rounding out your team comp as such, and you needed a red tome flyer. Now, do consider that the red pool is very saturated. You know, it's hard to pull 5 stars out of there because there's so many units out of there. So, Fruit of Idun, it is pretty much a Grimoire effect, but it is the opposite. Instead of Noe or like Tana, Noe was she teleports in front. This one is a slightly different effect where allies can move and teleport to you. So it's pretty much guidance for her. Not for her, for her allies, rather than her and Noe teleporting away. It's not a bad weapon at all. I think it's actually really cool. So that's going to be cool to utilize if you do end up getting her. Rally speed res comes off tail too, so who cares about that? Attack speed push. Push. Okay, that's definitely a new skill. However, there are some competition for this. First of all, it's a spur and drive skill, so you're not going to really want this for anyone that runs an AoE special build. Life and Death is still king there. Swift Sparrow is 4 and 4. I know Swift Sparrow is pretty rare, but it is only 1 attack and 1 speed difference. Life and Death is also attack 5 and speed 5, and you can use it whether you're at full health or low health. And you do have Fury as well, which gives you bulk. And yeah, there's you even have stuff like Brazen Attack Speed, which just came off Alina's. So there's so many more options in the A slot, which makes Attack Speed Push not really stand out very much. I think it does have synergy with units that already have effects that are based off their full health. So think of Fallen Celica or Celica herself. If you combine it with Attack Speed Push, and maybe you use something like Renewal or a healer to bring them back into 100% health, you'll get some pretty good value out of Attack Speed Push. In general, though, I don't think this skill is that amazing when you have so many other good options in the A slots. It's not like you don't pull for this when there's so many other good options there. So I like that she comes with the synergy in the kit though, which is Attack Speed Push and Renewal, so you don't really have to change very much. And the spur attack defense, again, I think it's a very good spur. Anything that kind of, especially if you run into a bunch of armors or a full melee team, attack and defense are pretty much the best stats you can run into. So again, pretty good. I think Tana will stand out the most. All right, so let's talk about the banner, what you should do, what you should consider, and what I'm doing. First of all, what am I doing? I'm skipping. But you probably could already tell based on my impressions of the skills and the units themselves. The only unit I like from this banner from a personal level is Noir. Unfortunately, she's not a permanent unit, so there's nothing I can really do. I can't really get pity breaks, and I can't really rely on me waiting for like a legendary banner a whole year to add merges to this unit. It's just not something that's realistic to me. I like building up my units beyond just one copy. So yeah, I don't really see much to it. The other units, again, I feel like this is huge waifu or husbando bait. There's taking like popular characters, putting them on a banner, and taking your orbs with nothing super appealing here. All these units are there's so much units in the 3 and 4 star pool that compete with these classes and movement types these units got. We got Cordelia and Lance Cab, which is the highest populated type. We got Tana, which Tana's good. I think Tana's actually the one that's going to stand out here. So Tana's probably what you should aim for if you wanted to. Again, we're going to talk about why you shouldn't go for Tana, but if you're going to get somebody, it'd be Tana for giving yourself variety in team comps. Innis, again, being on the Axe Flyer, it's not super populated, but unfortunately, if he does end up with like high defense and high offensive stat spreads, then he could end up just being kind of like a Shershi clone, and that wouldn't really be too good. Noir, Infantry Archer, there's so much variety there that it wouldn't work out. So why you should consider maybe not pulling, or if you do pull, waiting and being patient. As I've mentioned in most of my videos, patience is key to making good decisions in this game, where the game really tries to bait you very hard. So this banner lasts a long time. It lasts a month and 4 days. That's so much time. If I'm to see people telling me they've got a unit on the first day, you can color me disappointed right away, because you are not considering that the legendary banner is due in about 2 weeks from this video, and it will be amazing. I can guarantee it. I'll have a legendary banner prediction for that in a bit, But you can expect units like Winter Tharja on there. You can expect units like Winter Lisa on there. By the way, if you don't know, Bold Fighter, Vengeful Fighter, Closed Counter, these are all super exclusive luxury skills. Legendary Ike is coming back. Legendary Ephraim's coming back. F. Grima is coming back. We could start seeing some pretty good variety there, like Hanoka from the Fates banner recently in 2018 that came out. We could see F. Morgan showing up. There's some really, really good candidates coming up on this legendary banner, and it could be one of the best. Of course, along with that being a new legendary hero. So don't be spending your orbs when this banner overlaps with that, because you may want to spend hundreds of orbs on that legendary banner. And then you still have time to build up your orb count if you truly wanted to come back in a couple weeks and pull a specific unit here. On top of that, we have a secondary summer banner coming up, and it might be a lot better than this one. We don't know yet, but in my opinion, I think the second summer banner from last year was better than the first. Introducing characters like Summer Corrin, Summer Xander, who was the first unit of Infantry Pulse at that time, and yeah, forget Summer Leo and Summer Elise, but those two were very good standout units from the second summer banner. So again, it's going to overlap with the second summer banner. That also could be good. And we are approaching Choose Your Legends 2 possible timelines. If we take the precedent from last year, Choose Your Legends 2, if it takes 6 months, kind of like how Choose Your Legends 1 did, then we can expect that to show up at the end of August. Do you truly want to spend hundreds of orbs here on this banner, considering what's coming up? Unless you have a big wallet where you've saved thousands of orbs, you should definitely be patient and be careful, all right? So thanks for listening. Please let me know what you do, and please don't disappoint teacher, okay? I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.